Right, I've got something really important to say today. I hope you're all well. I hope you're maintaining your sanity in this increasingly insane and hysterical world. And why what I want to say today is so important is because I really feel that we need to protect ourselves. We need to protect our own sanity at the moment because there's something really dark going on. Now, in yesterday's video, I talked about the Russia-Ukraine situation, not through a geopolitical angle or even a historical angle, simply because I don't know or don't know enough. But I talked about it in terms of more in a philosophical way. I talked about how the same people who fall for the same narratives all the time, doesn't matter what that narrative is, as long as it's an establishment-backed narrative, have fallen for this in terms of an oversimplification of a complex scenario, painting one side as the enemy and the other side as the victim, and creating propaganda to coerce people into thinking and believing a certain way, which of course has worked with a lot of people. Today's video is following on from that, and it's more about us. And when I say us, what do I mean? Well, I'll use myself as an example. Someone who is, the imperfect individual. Far from perfect. Done a lot of stupid things, sometimes still do. Largely ignorant. I can get on my soapbox. I can be stupid. But I try. I can be hypocritical. I can be selfish and I can be lazy. There we go. That's me. But I try to find truth in life. I try to be open to ideas. I try to have a broad perspective on life. I try to imbue my life with a mixture and a balance of skepticism and curiosity. I try to be receptive to things without being naive, and I try to be skeptical without being downright cynical. And I think that's what being awake is. I try to be introspective. I try to realize when I'm responsible for remedying a situation and when I'm not. And the reason, so if you identify with what I've just said there, and if that describes you in some way, then this video is for you. The reason why we need to be very careful now is because we are coming off the back of 2 years where we have fought a battle, a psychological battle. Many of us were alone for a long time and isolated. We have expended a hell of a lot of energy. Many of us have gone through personal heartbreak as a result of the evil that we've been fighting against. An evil that many of those still around us won't acknowledge and are still enslaved by. But we have, as I say, expended so much emotional, spiritual and psychological energy fighting to protect what many in our society have no respect or even awareness of. I've talked about this all before: freedom of speech, bodily autonomy, right to free expression, all the rest of it. Which means that we're now at a point where a lot of us feel tired. A lot of us would appreciate a little, not a break, but I think we would appreciate if we saw in our world, in the world, that sanity and morality had returned, and rationality and logic had returned to a great enough degree to act as a kind of like a calming influence on the whole world. Well, as we've seen in the last couple of weeks, that's not happened, right? It's not happened. And the dark energy that has pervaded the world for a long time, but that's intensified over the last 2 years, has just morphed. It's the same dark energy preying on the same people, just with a different dynamic behind it. We have to be careful that because there are so many people in the world, when I say so many people, enough to affect things, because they're actually in the minority, but it's a significant minority, and it's a minority that still largely has control over everything. Media, politics, social media, just shouts, screams, is hysterical. That these individuals are dead inside. And I mean it, dead. They are dead intellectually. They may once have had intellect, but it's been killed through years of menticide and brainwashing. They are emotionally dead, and they are certainly spiritually dead. And they walk amongst us. They are people who have never cultivated a life philosophy, have never tried to cultivate a set of life values, who are simply incapable of thinking for themselves, and who are cowards. You put all those character traits together, and you have enough of those types of people in a society, and that society will be insane. And of course, that's what we've got. Unfortunately, and this is going to be pretty strong what I say now, but I mean it. For these people, we're at the point now where the only thing that will wake them up, will be two things. Either a horrific war where millions of people die in their own country so they can actually see it, or a horrific genocide where millions of people die in their own country so they can actually see it. Or either that, or they would be victims of it themselves, but you know what I mean. That is what we are up against, people. That is the level of evil. I'm not saying these people are evil, but the evil has preyed on them. But that is the level of insanity, madness that has possessed those individuals that I talk about. And it is for that reason, to go back to the start, why we must protect ourselves from their horrendous, dark, black, soulless energy. And this is an opportunity for us now to show what we've learned, and I'm going to explain it, and we'll see who's learned and who's not. Anyone who says they know what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, right, is lying. They're lying. Nobody does. Anyone who says that it's right to pick a side, and that the side that they've picked is the virtuous one fighting against an evil oppressor, is wrong. I know, even with my very limited knowledge of the geopolitical tensions within Ukraine and Russia, that there are very much two sides to that story. And sometimes, and this is what I mean with who's learned, sometimes in life, you have to pick a side. And other times, picking a side is the absolute worst thing that you can do. When do you pick a side? Is that phrase, choose your battles wisely? You pick a side when you know for sure, with 100% certainty, that You are standing, you don't even need to stand for something, but stand against something that's malevolent and bad. Now, the last 2 years, with the fundamental attack on all of us, from an enemy within, that many of us saw quickly, it was a very overt, in-your-face enemy, threat, evil. You pick a side then. Something that's going on thousands of miles away, in which there is a mass of information associated with that's very contradictory in nature and that can't be trusted. And where there is a clear concerted attempt by the same culprits to produce propaganda to make you think one way and to believe one narrative. That's when you've got to be very, very, very careful about picking a side. If you can't see it in your own life, be very, very, very careful about picking a side. Because if you're picking a side about something that you do not understand, you're not only not helping a problem, you're making it worse. Now, this isn't me saying, because I don't know, in any war, both sides are, I would argue, both sides commit evil. Usually one side commits more evil than the other side. I'm not arguing, and I'm certainly not saying that what's going on in Ukraine and Russia isn't terrible, because it appears to my eyes there definitely is conflict. People definitely are dying. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is we need to make sure for two reasons. One, because we don't understand and we can't help. And two, to protect ourselves, because our job now is to protect ourselves and is to help heal our world. And if everybody in the world made that decision to try, no matter what their flaws were, to make their little piece of the world a better place. Might sound naive of me that, but it's simple. The world would be a better place. Now, these leeches, these energy vultures who I talked about yesterday, you can't communicate with them on a human level. You just can't. These are the same people who, if you say, can you name me one benefit to do with Brexit? Can't. Refuse to, because it was 100% bad. You can't say anything positive about Donald Trump because he's the evil orange man. Climate change. Are you skeptical about anything you've been told about climate? No, climate change is real. Planet's going to be burning up in 30 years. They've got the script on that. Obviously, the lockdowns, the COVIDs, the jab, the script on that. No tolerance for any dissent whatsoever. And now it's the same thing happening. History really does repeat. And it's the same type of person who needs a kind of a large-scale narrative, because, as I said yesterday, it gives them a sense of meaning in their life. It's pretty sick and twisted to watch how these individuals will hijack anything that they've been told to hijack and support anything, no matter what it is, simply in order to appear kind, appear charitable, appear good. I tell you what real charity is. Real charity is what my dad used to do. He used to go, Dad's sadly dead now, he used to go once a month, buy some clothes, take it to the homeless shelter. That's real charity. That's helping the little bit around, helping your little sphere around your own world, injecting goodness and kindness into the world. I'm putting a fucking Ukrainian flag on a Twitter handle. That's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. We've also got to be careful to not only protect ourselves, but protect those around us who, so for example, Sarah, my girlfriend, I don't want her exposed to any of this nonsense. I don't want to become wrapped up in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, and for that to affect her and other members of my family, friends as well, because that's not what the world needs now. The world needs calm. The world needs people to look after themselves right now. The world needs connection. The world needs true compassion, which is caring for those around us and ourselves. So this is a test. This isn't a test for the general population and the sheep, you know, the zombies, whatever we want to call them. It's not a test for them. We knew how they'd react. If they were told to strip naked and run down the street because it'll ward off not only coronavirus but Vladimir Putin, they would do it. They would. A lot of them are now at the point where if they were told to stick bullets in the back of Russians' heads, they would. You know, if they were told 2 weeks ago to stick bullets in the back of people who hadn't been vaccinated, they would. This is what we're dealing with these people. So don't let them drag us down, because ultimately, if we let them, they will drag us down and we will become psychologically broken as well. And it's a test for us. It's a test for us to remain calm, to remain objective, to carry on living life through our own values, but to not give our energy to these leeches, let alone to the mainstream media, government. No. Let's now, after the last few years, Brexit in the UK, Trump in America, then we had the COVID thing, we've had a number of years of hysterical, screaming, screeching hyperbole that we've been exposed to, and some of us have tried to, you know, apply rational, logical thought, and we've invested so much emotional energy into it, right? We cannot do anything about what's going on over there because we don't know. There are people around us who are bad news. They might not be bad people, but they're bad news. They are. They really are. Because they don't stand for something. And in that way, I would prefer to deal with someone who is, I don't know, for example, maybe, I don't know, a rabid racist who has a set of views that I find repugnant. At least I would think, at least that person's got those views. Now I'm going to demolish his or her arguments and make him look like the foolish zealot that he or she is. That's easier. These stupid people are dangerous. They're stupid, they've got no morality, and they can't think because they don't. Their lives are so bereft of purpose and meaning that they don't know what's real, what's not. They don't know how to think, don't know how to critically think. They've lost their ability, or never had it, to feel empathy. So they don't stand for anything. And these people are dangerous because they can be weaponized so easily, and they are being weaponized. And we've got to make sure that in the act of them being weaponized, that does not affect us. So the challenge for us is to maintain our sanity, and we do it by disconnecting, disassociating, remembering that in doing that, that doesn't mean that we're people who don't care, because we do. We're people who seek truth. We're people who are trying to restore harmony. We're people who are trying to heal our world in our own personal way, and we're all good at it. And we've done a great job. We've won one battle against the COVID measures. Took heavy losses, massive losses. Lost my dad, didn't I? But it showed. And now we don't need to fight this battle because we don't know who our enemy is with regard to this. We know our enemy is internal, mainstream media, government, big pharma. We can understand that. And that's energy well spent. Energy spent on taking a position on something that is very nebulous, confusing. I'm not sure that's a good idea. So I hope this video's helped. I want to try and keep you sane. So I hope it has. Don't forget to subscribe to The Imperfect Individual. There we go. Leave a comment and let me know what you think about what I've said. And have a good rest of the day. All right then, bye-bye.